Hello everyone, AMHarbinger here, and today IGN got exclusive footage for Resident Evil Village's Mercenary mode. Now, Mercenary mode hasn't been seen since Resident Evil 6. Capcom has just basically not introduced the mode since Resident Evil 6. Instead, they had a multiplayer mode for Resident Evil 3 2020, which was the less we speak about that, the better. If you liked it, good for you, but for a large majority of us, it was just a tacked on multiplayer mode. But the Mercenaries mode, which technically debuted in Resident Evil 3, I believe, the original PlayStation version, but for that, it was more of an optional mode where you would try and get to the end of the stage as quickly as possible based on the limited resources you were provided, based on the character you chose. So technically, people considered that the original Mercenaries mode than Resident Evil 4, but Resident Evil 4 kind of remixed the formula. Instead, you have to kill a bunch of enemies within a time limit. You can extend that time limit, but more and more powerful enemies would start entering the stage. And if you survive till the end, you were graded on your performance based on enemies killed and how much you kept up a combo, which would basically mean killing enemies in chain and how many bosses you would kill. So we're going to see how Capcom is revitalizing the formula because it's not a one-to-one recreation of Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6 mercenary mode. It's changed with upgrades and a slightly different direction. So let's see.
This preview is based on IGN's exclusive hands-on session with Resident Evil Village's extra mode, The Mercenaries, which we played at Capcom's offices in Osaka, Japan. Unlocking the Mercenaries after beating the main Resident Evil Village campaign should feel like reuniting with an old friend, maybe a scary old friend, for longtime series fans, as the mode has been implemented in previous Resident Evil titles. Village is the first mainline title in the franchise to include the Mercenaries since Resident Evil 6, so it's been a while. The rules are simple. Eliminate as many of each stage's contingent of enemies as you can, and reach the goal before time runs out. Simply reaching the goal, which appears after defeating a certain amount of enemies, is enough to advance to the next area. However, most players will want to aim higher. The Mercenaries is all about clearing as many enemies as possible in each stage, and doing it fast, since the number of kills and time left when reaching the goal combine to create your score. We got to play the first stage of the Mercenaries, which consists of multiple areas and is set inside the village, the game's main location. While the first area was pretty straightforward, in later areas enemies were located atop walls and rooftops, and the added verticality forced us to alter our playstyle. Before heading into a new
So it looks like it's not going to play like traditional Mercenaries mode. It's going to go back to Resident Evil 3's concept. Or for modern Resident Evil fans, if you played Resident Evil Revelations, it's similar to raid mode where you would have to get from point A to point B, but based on your performance, based on how many enemies you killed, how much money you've obtained, and your combo chain, you're graded with each level based on that, and you can use that to upgrade yourself from the Duke. So I actually like this direction. Raid mode was really fun, and you could play that alone or co-op, but this one's going to be solo entirely, and you're only going to play as Ethan as far as I can tell. In raid mode for Resident Evil Revelations, you can choose from a variety of Resident Evil characters.
new area, the player is sent to a room that houses weapon merchant the Duke to prepare. Here you can buy weapons, ammo, and first aid meds. And just like in the main game, you can upgrade weapons here too. This new element of preparation adds a welcome strategic layer that was not present in past versions of the Mercenaries.
Please come again.
Picking one or two of the multiple available weapons to focus on when preparing for the fight will get you a long way. While enemy types and the layout of the next area play an important role in choosing how to prepare, in the long run, understanding your personal preferences is key to victory. You might even want to go as far as selling the rest of your loadout and using that money to focus on upgrading just one weapon. While it takes guts to throw away precious firearms, the Mercenaries rewards a player's courage to focus on what they know best. Eliminating all 30 enemies in the first area within the time limit isn't super difficult in and of itself. Whenever you kill an enemy, you gain an extra few seconds, and by obtaining a yellow orb you gain another 30 seconds, which felt pretty generous. The difficulty will surely ramp up with each stage, but in the end, the Mercenaries' real challenge lies in aiming for a higher score. In a sea of skill-based shooters, the new focus on strategy made the Mercenaries feel more welcoming. While your shooting and close combat skills will definitely be put to the test, as defeating enemies with speedy combos will give you a higher score, knowing your strengths and preparing a strategy to match those characteristics is just as important. There are multiple blue orbs hidden within each area, which allow you to choose from 3 different abilities each time to equip. Choose wisely as you keep these abilities until the end of the game. From selecting the Blade Master ability in the first of several orbs, I chose to focus on melee attacks.
That's a new enemy type. We haven't seen this before. Looks like they're wearing gauntlets with spears through them, so these are most likely more evolved lichens. They're probably mid-tier bosses. So, wow, that actually is cool. New enemy types. And for the upgrades which they showed us, I like that approach. It's the idea that you can focus on one or another, and for your weapon loadout, you can choose to just go all out with a specific weapon or have more variety. So it does give you a large amount of customization option. I like it. I mean, it's not as simple as the original Resident Evil Mercenaries mode. You got one set loadout and that was it. You had to make do with what you got. But here it encourages customization, which is cool. But of course, you can forego all that and just decide I'm going to go in as vanilla as possible.
And before long, I was able to move faster when equipping a knife, I could deal 5 times more damage by attacking with it, and I was able to take more damage. I had effectively built a close combat specialist, but I could have instead chosen skills based around using a machine gun, a sniper rifle, or many other weapons or playstyles. These abilities allow you to build your character as you would in an RPG, but in a simplified manner that perfectly matches Mercenaries' fast-paced action. When finding blue orbs, it's important to choose an ability that matches the weapon you chose to enhance at the Duke's shop. If you've been upgrading your shotgun, there's not much point in choosing an ability that increases the power of your handgun. Finding the playstyle that suits you best and making choices accordingly as you kill enemy after enemy results in a rewarding balance between fast-paced action and strategic planning. I can't wait to refine my own approach and adapt to different situations and enemy types.
So I do like this. This is something I've always wanted from a Resident Evil Mercenaries mode, enemy count, because anyone who's played Resident Evil 5 will know that it was a little annoying because you never really could gauge how many enemies were there, so you would always limit how much points you can get unless you manually count. So I do like this idea of putting an enemy count. The goal has spawned, that's good. So it tells you when you can just run for it. So you don't have to kill all the enemies, you can just rush for the goal if you feel overwhelmed or you just need to get out of there.
Once I get my hands on the full Mercenaries mode. Resident Evil Village will be released on May 7th. Be sure to check out our in-depth preview of the first 5 hours of the game, and for those curious about the last-gen version, take a look at our PS4 Pro gameplay footage.
I mean, that is pretty cool. I do like what the direction they're taking it in. You do have more options of how you wish to take on this mode. We did see some new enemy types like this one. We saw this is a landmine, which is freaking awesome, so we can plant landmines. That's cool. But, I mean, I'm looking forward to playing the Mercenaries mode. I really enjoyed it in Resident Evil 4 and 5. Didn't really get into Resident Evil 6 Mercenary mode. I don't know why. It just didn't click for me as well as 4 and 5 did. But I do like that they're taking concepts that people really liked from Resident Evil Revelations' raid mode. And they're also implementing classic concepts from the original mode when it released on Resident Evil 3 for PlayStation. Either way, super cool. And if you like this video, remember to like, subscribe, comment, check out my other Resident Evil content. It's all below, no commentary walkthroughs for all the major demos that have released for Resident Evil Village, and all walkthroughs for Revelations, Resident Evil 3 2020, and so on. So till next time, guys, thanks for joining me, and stay awesome, everyone.